Well, A Good Person is about a tragedy that occurs and how it changes the lives of these two families. And the families are trying to grieve on their own, but a series of circumstances brings two of the key members together, and they end up sort of saving each other from themselves. So Florence Pugh plays Allison. She's a young woman. She's so happy. She's engaged to the love of her life. She has her whole future ahead of her, and she's involved in a car accident in which her future sister-in-law and her sister-in-law's husband are both killed. We then cut to a year later, and her relationship has fallen apart. She's in a severe depression. She's addicted to Oxycontin that has been prescribed to her for her injuries from the accident, but now she's on it just to numb herself. And we also see where Morgan Freeman's character Daniel has ended up. He's a been sober 10 years, but really suffering with his sobriety and trying to raise his granddaughter because he's lost his daughter. Florence's character sort of hits rock bottom and decides she needs to seek help, and she has the courage to go and attend her first NAAA meeting. And of all the meetings she picks in the world, she picks the one where her would-be father-in-law is attending as well. And so in that moment, she does what a lot of people would do and run out of there and say, "Hey, I'll find another meeting." But he stops her and says, "I know how hard it is to get here, and you got here. Please don't run away because of me." And in that moment, it really is the beginning of this very unlikely friendship between two people who are suffering and in pain and in grief. But they both could really use a friend, and they both could really use some help. And that sets in motion this very unlikely friendship between two people who really need some help. This film is about standing up after a huge low moment in your life. So there'll be audience members who'll be able to relate directly to the addiction or the or death, but you can also just insert any dark time of your life, whether it be the pandemic or a divorce or a breakup or anything that just insert there. This film is about someone who's standing back up after a really low point. I think that's really one of the main things this film is about. It's about good people who have fallen down and are doing their very best to stand back up. And oftentimes that means leaning on someone to help you get back up. And the way, the crazy way that life can unfold, oftentimes, sometimes, that person is the last person in the world you'd expect to be leaning on. One of my favorite scenes with Morgan, and there's so many, but it's when we finally see him share in AA, and you get the feeling that he hasn't quite shared this particular story. And when he first starts talking, he's talking about how some things are beyond forgiveness. I think that the audience and Allison will both assume he's going to reference her, even vaguely maybe, but maybe directly. We don't know what's about to happen. She certainly, her eyes widen up like, oh my God, is he about to talk about me? But then he turns it around and talks about what's probably the lowest moment of his life. Um, and I think it really shows just how extraordinary an actor Morgan Freeman is, that monologue. I think Morgan Freeman can break your heart like nobody else can. There's some other older legends that we all love, and they're extraordinary actors, and your mind is blown watching them. But not all of them can break your heart like Morgan Freeman can. When you see the pain in his eyes playing this character, he just brought so much of his own experience. I think Morgan really related to the story of the film in his own way. He told me that he saw himself on every page of the script, and I think he just really it really touched him. Like everyone, especially people of a certain age, he's experienced great loss in his life, and I think he could really tap into that in a way that was incredibly powerful. Well, I wrote the film for Florence. Like so many people, I'm just blown away by her talent. And I wanted to write something for her. I wrote this mostly over the pandemic, and I wanted to, and I'd experienced a lot of grief in my life, having lost in the last 4 years my father, my sister, my best friend to COVID, another best friend to suicide. Uh, I've had a lot of heartbreak and grief in my life. So I wanted to write about standing back up from that, not just myself, but the people I see who are are at the forefront of that, having to stand back up. My best friend's widow, for example, watching her and thinking, "Gosh, how is she ever going to stand back up from something so tragic?" And um, and so that was kind of the jumping off point. Florence was incredible. She loved the script, and she really wanted to participate in developing the character and the script. She gave me wonderful notes, and I evolved it with her ideas, and of course her big monologue. We worked on together and really finessed it together. The one where she finally shares in AA. All over the place, Florence contributed, and also in casting, she was so helpful in helping me cast the other actors who weren't, the marquee names, because I really wanted it was crucial that she have a really good chemistry with Chinaza and Celeste, and we read so many wonderful actors. But when I finally got down to the end, I wanted Florence to read with them, and we were all in different places on Earth, so it all took place over Zoom, which of course isn't ideal, but Florence read with them, and she, as not just the star of the movie, but as a producer on the film, was really helpful to be like, we both agree, it's Chinaza, it's Celeste, like we it they're incredible. So she was so crucial to developing it and being my producing partner. Well, one of the things I wrote to specifically for Florence is that she is an incredible songwriter and singer, and a lot of people don't know that. When Florence's career was first starting, she was kind of at a fork in the road because she was very skilled at both acting and being a singer songwriter, and she wasn't exactly sure which route she was going to go. It was a little bit like myself being an actor and a filmmaker. I didn't really know which one I was going to pursue, and I kind of just said, I'm going to try to do both and let the universe unfold how it unfolds. And for Florence, that was acting. Acting took off because she got some films that really started propelling her acting career when people saw her skills in The Falling and then Lady Macbeth, and then she was off to the races. But before that, she had done lots of singing and songwriting and playing guitar on YouTube. She had lots of videos playing this beautiful music, and so I knew of that. And of course, I had seen her sing and play piano, play guitar, and so in writing it, I said, "Will you?" I think there's going to be two original songs that the character writes in the film. Would you write them? And she said, "Of course. That would be such a cool way to." I mean, it's not a lot of people who can do that. And for me, it just felt so special and unique to the film that you could take such an extraordinary actress, have her get in the mindset of the character, and then write songs the character would write with lyrics and emotion that the character is feeling. I just thought that was so special and unique to our film. I really felt passionate about this story. I really related to it. Um, in the same way about my other two personal films. I made four films. The third one was a studio comedy, so I won't count it in this context. And also I didn't write it. Ted Melfi wrote it. So when it does come, when something I like really does come out of me, and I'm proud of it, I can't wait to try and make it because it they're so personal, these stories, and I feel like they're so specific to. I hope they feel specific to me and my voice, because that's my favorite kind of film is when I can feel the specific filmmaker I like behind the story. So the movie takes place in New Jersey. I'm from South Orange, New Jersey. It's where I set Garden State. And one of the really fun things for me was bringing Morgan Freeman to my hometown. We shot a lot of the movie in and around South Orange and Maplewood, where I grew up. The scene at the duck pond is my childhood duck pond. That's where I used to go. I had a little like $50 remote control boat that my mom had bought me for my birthday, and I would drive it around the little duck pond as a child. It was one of my favorite toys. And actually, my middle school is right next door, and there I was bringing Morgan Freeman to shoot there. So it just felt really cool. And then also that we used the high school that I went to. So Morgan Freeman, the scene where he's in the principal's office is the principal's office at my high school, which I hadn't really seen much because I was a goody two shoes. But so I don't know. They say write what you know. So I really wanted to write about North Jersey, which is something I know really well. And the unique thing about it is the system of New Jersey transit trains that can bring you so easily into the city. And there's just something unique about that area because you can get on a train and be in Manhattan in 25 minutes. So there's just this possibility there that anything can happen. So Florence and I actually made a short film called "In the Time It Takes to Get There," and I was lucky enough to have Mauro Fiore shoot that short film. He's an incredible cinematographer. I mean, he's done things as big as, and he won the Academy Award for the original Avatar, and he's just did a bunch of Marvel movies, including the last Spider-Man. So he's done these huge scale stuff, but I'm really particularly drawn to some of his work he's done with Antoine Fuqua, including Training Day and Southpaw. Um, I just was always drawn to his style and his work. And so I was lucky enough to get him to shoot this short film with me, and it looked so beautiful. And he was able to move at such a speed. I was worried that someone who'd made such big movies, if they could move at a pace that you need to move on for smaller scale stuff. And the short film came out so stunningly beautiful that I thought, okay, when I make my feature, it's going to be this dream team. It's going to be Florence Pugh, Mauro Fiore, and I, and we're gonna make a movie together. And then I made it happen. He came to us from Spider-Man. So I was like, you've seen this schedule, right? You think you can pull this off in 27 days? But he did. He just shifted, and he's just so special. I think the film is really, really, in addition to so many other feelings I have about it, I think it's really particularly beautifully photographed. Thanks to Maro.